Now, so we have seen the happiness part, we have seen the HDI part. Now we have to see, we have to see green GDP. Green GDP. Same thing. We have seen environmental economics. See, right now take India. I don't want to take India because India is my country. Take another country. GDP is 100 rupees. China, let's take China. If you estimate the monetary value of environmental destruction in China while producing a economy worth 100 every year, 100 rupees is your GDP. Calculate the environmental destruction, the pollution, air pollution, the damage to health, loss of productivity, early deaths, you name it. If that value, I don't know how to value that. There are people who can value that. That value could be more than 100. Then what are you producing? Your GDP is minus 10 rupees, minus 10 yuan. Even at the most conservative level, let us say that your environmental destruction should be should have a monetary value of 20 rupees. Again, your GDP is shrinking to 80. So right now, wherever you go, you are China, $17 trillion economy. On the purchasing power parity, you are over 30 trillion. But if we calculate the value of the environmental destruction, short term, medium term, long term, immediate and long term, and then deduct that value from the GDP value that you are declaring, we don't know where you will land. 80, 70, 50, 40. I've given the example of China because China is world famous for pollution. They might have taken corrective action also. You should always, where you are saying something negative, you should give the example of your enemy. If you give the example positive, you should give your example. These are the tricks of the trade. Remember, if you give the example of Pakistan, that's no comparison at all. You should give the example of a country you would one day like to match. So, the only choice we have is China. So, this is the green GDP aspect of it. Green GDP. Now, there is one more indicator, one more entry here, which is, let me talk about it. That will be Stiglitz. Stiglitz. Joseph Stiglitz. (2009), somewhere there. The French president, after the Lehman crisis of 2008, wanted to know how should we assess the progress of the people of a country. Should we blindly go by GDP or can there be some qualified metric? So some of the finest developmental economists he brought together. Of course, Amartya Sen was there, not as a member I think, but as an advisor. Venugopal Reddy was there, former RBI governor, as an advisor, and then another lady from India. And it was headed by Joseph Stiglitz. All of them had this task cut out. How should we measure the progress? How should we measure? In that report, Stiglitz and others, what did they say? They said, growth is not all. Growth is very important, necessary but not sufficient. Bring in leisure and mental happiness. I read a poem. I'm so happy. you listen to a song, you're so happy. So happiness is multifaceted. Economics is one part of it. So Stiglitz said leisure, leisure. So, you must be all wishing, okay, I'm struggling. And struggling means enjoying, of course. I'm studying so much. I wish I had 1 week of holiday. You won't get it. 1 week though is a millennium. You will get a few, few hours you may get. Yeah? So you must be wishing like, if I could have 7 days for myself, I'll be a new type of human being. Yeah? So, leisure. We are loving our work, make no mistake. We are loving our work because the definition of loving the work is if it is taking us closer and closer to our goals. That is the work we love. And anything else is, not our kind of work. So, leisure is important, mental health is important, plus your culture is important. Culture and relationships are so important. Life is nothing except positive, respectful, enjoyable relationships. Respect yourself, respect everyone, and that relationship is a source of happiness in itself. So Joseph Stiglitz Commission said leisure, culture, and relationships, etc. All of them should be monetized and added to the value of the GDP, adjustments made so that you get a value that can be depended upon to show how happy we are. So that is a Stiglitz Commission. This was about 15 years back. So all of them are given as alternatives to GDP because the metric of GDP is necessary but not sufficient to assess the human progress. My pick in all this would be either this or this. Both of them are related, and this. All three are related. My pick would be that. And in general, there could be questions on inequality and all that. So if you are fine with this, we can move to the next topic that won't require so much of thinking. We have dealt with stuff that demands your attention and thinking and all that. Next chapter is planning. So, it doesn't require too much of your cerebral stuff. Planning, socio-economic planning. That will give you a good understanding of economics, but in terms of the intensity, this is about the benchmark. I'll pause for a second or two, fully knowing you won't have any questions. But there's hardly anything to. Yeah.
What is supply side economics?
What?
Supply side economics.
You want me to tell you about supply side economics?
Yes.
Yeah. See, why you are asking is because there are corporates are there. Who are the agents, economic agents, who make available goods and services to us? The producers. The producers, for them to make a difference to the economy, They have to produce large scale. That is the corporates. Corporates. I don't want to name them. So these are the corporates. They are the ones who produce large scale. They are the ones who keep the supplies into the economy growing. But they have a problem. There is no growth, there is no demand, they already have factories, they are not working to the full capacity, and why will they produce more? Why will they invest more? World is also not doing too well that you can produce here and export to America or Eurozone. So I'm not investing. Corporates aren't investing. When corporates are not investing, there should be some solution to make them invest. So, you have meetings, FICCI, Government of India, all that. They'll say, sir, it's not viable for us to invest now because, sir, I'm investing and I'm making profit. Of that, you are taking away so much. But you do one thing, sir, you give us tax rate concessions. Right now we are paying, say, 30, 25, whatever we are paying rate. You cut it down to 20, from 30 to 20. Which means if I am making, say, 30 rupees of profit today, I will make 40 rupees of profit. And sir, I will put it back into the economy. So when you cut the corporate tax rates, profits of the companies, the rate down, they'll save money. That saved money is assumed to be invested back into the economy. That will generate more jobs and incomes and goods and services. That is how the government can expect the corporate sector to complement its own actions like all your Gati Shakti, etc. And in the process, there is a jugalbandi. Government spends, corporate spend. Government spends because that's a public responsibility of the government. Corporate spend because the tax rate has been cut and money is saved and it's government is stimulating the economy. So, so supply side economics is equal to corporate tax rate cut so that the tax that's not paid can be reinvested so that it stimulates the growth. That is supply side economy. You boost the supplies by enabling corporates to invest by cutting the tax rates. You got it now? Okay. So socio-economic planning. See, all of us know one thing. In history you must have been taught. I don't know, I think so, it must have happened here. So how the British ruined our agriculture, ruined our industry, made us into a raw material supplier for no reason, made us into importer of the finished goods. That's what they have done. Now, so you were getting independence. It was written on the wall. By the 30s, independence was coming in about, say, 10, 15 years. We have to govern ourselves. Independence is not a birthday in the sense that you just celebrate and you don't have to do anything. You have to start struggling harder. The nation is yours. Earlier you could blame the British, now you can't. And you are desperate to improve the country, living conditions. So how will you do it? The first exercise in suggesting how to plan our economic development was by Moksha Gundam Visvesvaraya. Moksha Gundam, his name. If this is very tough by any standards. Visvesvaraya. You know, he was a civil engineer, he built all the dams and all that. You have the Engineers Day also celebrated in his name. He wrote a book called Planned Economy for India. There he offered some ideas. Around, say, mid-30s, 90 years back. That was for Planned Economy for India. Then the Indian National Congress set up the National Planning Committee under Jawaharlal Nehru. You know, I've read the books by Jawaharlal Nehru, Discovery of India. I might have read it 2-3 times. Glimpses of World History. Absolutely genius. He wrote those letters to his daughter, and oh, if I had time, I'll read that all over again. There's no one simpler than him. National Planning Committee, 1938, Indian National Congress. How do we go about planning? Regular stuff, you know, how to plan for the development of the country. The ideas were already there. You have to repair agriculture, repair industry, and then Mahalanobis model to come up, plus social development, or regular stuff. Then 3 approaches you will find in the 40s. M. N. Roy. People's Plan. People's Plan. S. N. Agarwala. Gandhian Plan. Mahatma Gandhian Plan. Then you got the Bombay Plan. Bombay Plan by industrialists, corporates. Corporates. M. N. Roy was a communist. He gave up communism. He was not happy with Stalin and all this. And he became radical humanist. He wrote a plan called People's Plan, because ultimately what do you plan for? You don't plan to make aeroplanes, luxury cars. You plan for wage goods. In India, 90% of the people live on wage, and that wage gets you certain goods, food, shelter, this, that. You know, what the wage can buy are the wage goods, the regular essential goods. How do you produce them? How do you produce them? So M. N. Roy made a plan to produce the wage goods. Agarwala is Gandhian. Decentralization, agriculture, village, self-republics, no craze for industry, bread labor, all that we discussed on day one. Agarwala. Bombay Plan, these are the industrialists. They said we'll invest, double the per capita, and we will also, they were urging the government to spend a lot on health and education, and they were asking for protectionism also. Protect the country, let there be no competition for us from outside, so that we can develop the domestic industry, etc. I'll show you a graphic on that. This is the pre-independence entries for socio-economic planning. Then comes independence, after which you will have, 1948, you had industrial policy statement. After all, you have to tell the agents of the economy, I am the government, I will establish industries across the board. What I don't, you do it. So residuary role is for the private sector, predominant role is for the government. Industrial policy statement, 48. And then comes 1950. Then Within, in that year, you have the Planning Commission. Planning Commission. Today it doesn't exist, so nobody is talking about it. You know what is Planning Commission? What is planning? Let's get the definition of planning first, then Planning Commission, the structure functions, and then we'll proceed. See, planning is, you do it, country does it, panchayat does it, state does it, everyone does it. Planning is basically, you want to get somewhere. Decide where you want to go. I want to get a lot of marks, I want to be there in the bureaucracy. That's your goal. How do you do that? So what is the goal for the government of India? I want economic growth. I want modernization of economy. I want to be Atmanirbhar, self-reliant. And I want social justice. Everyone should participate in the growth process. These are the 4 big goals that you set for yourself. And then how do I get there? I can't get there overnight. So give yourself a time frame. 1 year, 5 years, 15 years. These days we are hearing net neutrality by 2070. Gujarat says I'll be at $1 trillion economy by 2030. They have a plan. So like that, you also have, you got the goals? Goals are fine. The time period within which you want to achieve the goals, that depends upon the availability of resources. Land, minerals, fertile land, human resources, bureaucracy, and law, that rule of law. Democracy, rule of law, all that. These are the resources. So I've got 145 million hectares, 145 million square kilometers or whatever area I've got for agriculture. Good, very good. And then I've got minerals, iron ore, this, that. And we've got lovely bureaucracy, this, that. So we have the resources, this is the resources. People are also resources, we've got the resources. And then we will stamp out poverty, we'll create equality, we'll have this kind of rate of growth, we'll have food security, food grain production, and so you got the goals, you have an estimate of the resources, and you've got a time frame within which gradually you want to realize your goals. Now, all this is okay. You can do that in the library also. But how do you dirty your hands? How do you get there? For that, financial resource also we got. Let's set up a body called the Planning Commission. Prime Minister heading it ex officio. Lots of great people, members, ministers and all that. And then they will show you the way. But then they are all civil servants. What freedom will they have? So in 1950 you got the Planning Commission, and Planning Commission is what? Prime Minister, he has got too much of work, he won't be there. Ministers ex officio, you are the minister, so you are here ex officio, you are also busy. And if you take away these ministers and Prime Minister, you got the bureaucrats there, specialists, they won't feel bold enough to plan. So in 1952, means a civil servant, however brilliant he may be, will have to work under the people's representative. The goals are set by them, the means are found by bureaucrats, civil servants. So in 1952, you had to fill the gap, set up National Development Council. National Development Council. This is a very, very big body like your Niti Aayog. Prime Minister cabinet ministers, chief ministers, lieutenant governors and administrators of the UTs, as the name goes. All of them are members. You know, can you think of anything higher powered than this? PM, cabinet ministers, CMs, and the UT people. One body. And remember this. This is the NDC. Within the NDC, Planning Commission. All the members of the Planning Commission are invariably ex officio. You are a Planning Commission member, automatically you are a member of the NDC. The entire Planning Commission is automatically members of the NDC, which is what you call ex officio. Ex officio. See, you know, ex officio means tomorrow you are a government officer of a district. Whoever is the government officer, not X or Y or Z, you are the government officer. Whoever is here is automatically a member of a committee, this committee, that committee, welfare committee, consumer committee, whatever. So this is NDC and this is NDC. On an ex officio basis, the Planning Commission is a part of it. So who do you have here? Everyone. So you are the NDC, the Planning Commission. So you see, let's plan. I would like to have 5%, 6%, 7% rate of growth. Please make a scenario, multiple scenarios, and come back to us. We are meeting next month. Please get us the presentation for what does it take to grow at 5%, 6%, 7%, and what's the most optimum level we should grow without overheating the economy and all. So Planning Commission, their job is this, their joy is this. So they'll work it out, get a lot of, scenarios, and then they'll tell you, sir, they'll tell you means the CM, PM, all those people. Sir, at 5%, savings, investment, agriculture, all that they'll break up. Savings and investment basically. We can do it, sir. Then the NDC will ask them, can we grow at 6? Sir, at 6, tough to get so much of investment. We need to print a lot of money that can inflate the economy and there'll be trouble, sir. Can we do 5.5% rate of growth? Possible, sir. We can do it. So, you spread out. Scenario 1, 2, 3. And the political leaders will choose what scenario to proceed with. Okay, 5.5. Let's try and achieve 5.5. You work out all the details, etc. So the initial, 5.5 decided. Let's meet after 2 months. Those after 2 months meeting, approach paper will come about for 5.5. Since they asked for 5.5, there is consensus on 5.5. That approach paper, short document, 80, 90, 100, 120 pages, maybe 200. Adopt it. So what do you mean? That 150-page expansion of 5.5 that is accepted, you go back to your Yojana Bhavan and again you amplify it into 2 books, and that you will get back to the NDC and the NDC will endorse it. That is when you will say X 5-year plan, the details 5.5 days. That is how the NDC and the Planning Commission work together. NDC is the guide, Planning Commission executes. Now, what else does NDC do? NDC, what it did was, it is the apex body to endorse the 5-year plan. After the 5-year plan is endorsed and gets going, within 3 years, meet for midterm review. And at the end of the 5-year plan, what you examine what went right and what went wrong and what are the remedies, etc. And then another approach, etc., etc. So that is what the NDC did, and it is the apex body for all social programs. Mahatma Gandhi Narega, they endorsed it. Right to information, they endorsed it. So NDC was. Today in the Niti Aayog, there is a governing council, exactly the counterpart of the NDC. We will come to the Niti Aayog when time comes. How much time do I have?
20 minutes.
Huh?
20 minutes.
20 minutes are left, okay. So, this was the institutional side, the definitional side and the historical side. Now let us launch into discussion of the history of 5-year plans in the country starting 1951. The first 5-year plan. We have something to show, no? Those M. Roy and stuff. For a quick recap, Moksha Gundam, Visvesvaraya. M. Roy. You cut out the M of you know, M. Roy won't come in the exam because ideology. Bombay plan, of course, the favorite, it could come. You could get Bombay plan, prelim, and the main also. Why not? You may get. This is about the prehistorical. I don't think I sent anything on the planning commission that I recall. Yeah, this, if you allow me, I'll talk and then we'll show. See, why did we adopt the 5-year plans? A lot of countries did not. We adopted because we had no private sector. Where is the private today? We got Ambani's and others. Where was the private sector in 47? Number one. USSR inspired us because in a short span, it was lagging in industrialization. in a short span, it made up and emerged as an industrial power, number 2. Third one is, Jawaharlal Nehru's ideology that democracy and socialism have to be combined, for our economic growth with social face and all that. Fourth is, how could you allow the multinationals, etc., to come into the country when after 200 years of struggle you booted out the colonial power, which is nothing but a multinational with state support? So the British experience told us that multinationals couldn't be, welcomed back, number 1, the Nehru, number 2, Soviet experience, number 3, and the fact that we lacked private sector of a sizable presence, number 4. This is what made it necessary and also made it desirable that we launch our own 5-year planning process. Now, we could show it. I mean, you don't have to strain yourself. Later also it's resentment, absence, attraction. Somebody who wouldn't care for the country, he would have adopted private sector. Okay, these corporates are there, they'll govern and we'll get our money and all that. It takes a lot for a person to sweat out for the country, to take all the people forward. It takes tremendous brilliance and sensitivity.
Sir,
Yeah?
is there any reason for selecting specifically 5 years?
Okay. Our friend is asking, why 5 years? Why not 4 or 6 or 7? That I can't answer. What I can answer is, see, you want to build a dam. You can't do it in 1 year. You want to make the country food secure. You can't do that in 1 year. You want to have a lot of production of steel. You can't do that in 1 year. So what you can do is, have a perspective plan, 15 years. Surely none of these things can be done in 1 year. Yeah? But then 15 years will never come. You have to start doing now. Let's have a 5-year plan in which you have 5 annual plans. We will start working from now, have annual targets combined into a 5-year plan target, and then we will integrate all the 3 5-year plans into a perspective plan. That is how you can achieve long-term, medium-term, short-term goals, because if you don't have long and medium on a short-term basis, you can't develop the country. You can set up a steel plant, all right, but you have a plan to make India a major producer of steel. For that you require long-range planning, not to neglect short-term targets. Therefore, you saw US Soviet Union, they had 7 years and all that. We thought 7 years will put us to sleep. 5 years, annual within that, 3 5s are 15, perspective, that's how we worked out. Yeah. The same thing I formatted in a Q&A form. Take a look. This is exactly how you have to write. Exactly. 100%. Exactly how you write. Nobody can dislike you, and you will be heavily liked. If you wrote this answer on social media, you will get 1,000 likes. The general goals are these 4. Growth, modernization, self-reliance, social justice. These are the 4. Of course, that era is over now, but still it will give you, ease of learning. Okay. We will also show, You know that protectionism thing I sent, we have to wait. We can't rush with that. Okay. So in the first 5-year plan, Jawaharlal Nehru thought that we should emphasize on agriculture because food security is crucial, because the British ruined Indian agriculture, created famines, and we need to develop agriculture for, multiple uses, of which food security is primary. So he chose agriculture. And to the young economist, K.N. Raj, he invited him. He was 26-year-old, he was like you, and he was a brilliant economist from Kerala. He asked him, how do we go about? Apparently he guided K.N. Raj. So it passed off well. And then second 5-year plan. Second 5-year plan, 56 to 61, this is where the genius of Nehru. He called an economist, Mahalanobis, sir, you please come. How do we go about? Already 5 years are over. Already 9 years are over. Where are we going? Then Mahalanobis told him, sir, we are children. We are infants. So we have to accordingly behave. This is our country. Let's close the country economically. Don't bring foreign direct investment. Don't bring imports. What we do is develop our own public sector. Number one, they require protection. Give them protection by shutting out imports and foreign direct investment. Protect them, protectionism. And then we will go by the trickle-down effect. Not the trickle-down effect of the West. Here the trickle-down effect, I explained to you the meaning. Steel plant, BHEL, NTPC, an entire ecosystem. That is trickle-down effect. Multiplier. Our trickle-down effect should be called multiplier effect. Their trickle-down effect should be called supply-side economics. Now, so they said close the economy, protect our producer. They are infants, all right. And if you throw them open to the competition, they'll never be able to come up. And so this is the way to go. And most importantly, basic industries. Machinery, metals, develop them. That will give scope for the small industries to jump into the bandwagon and the rest. Basic industries, that is the commanding heights of the Indian economy. You develop steel and machines, you are developing the whole economy because they are the foundations of the economy. Without developing metals and machinery, which are the basic industries, capital goods industries associated, how can you be self-reliant? You can't be. So, basic industries, that is the commanding heights of economy, develop them. Our own people, public sector, and don't give them competition because they are infant. Why am I using the word infant? That is the argument to protect. You see, Trump protects his economy. That makes him an ideologue. That makes him a mercantilist. You want only export, you don't want to import, even if it hurts your own economy, you don't want to import, you have to be one-sided, all that nonsense. British, those days towards India, and Trump, mercantilist, no imports as much as possible, only exports. Even if no import policy hurts you, import substitution hurts you through price, lack of availability, and consumer welfare being violated, never mind. Only export, no import, mercantilism. Whereas our protectionism is not mercantilism, for God's sake. Infant, they are children, BHEL is a children. Child, protect them. After a while, throw them open. So, infant argument number one, protectionism number two, basic industries number three. That is how, one day you have to start industrializing your country, because that is the backbone of your economy. Without that, you cannot justify your economic independence, and therefore, the sooner you start, the better. So, Nehru-Mahalanobis model is that. They launched the, self-reliance program like this. It worked very well. It worked very well. But some critics are there, you see. Nehru was criticized, you see. He is a Westerner. He has no idea of agriculture, rural India, all that. Yes, critics are wonderful. Critics, you have to criticize. Why? That made Nehru open his eyes to having to balance industry with agriculture in the next 5-year plan. So criticism, no one is perfect. Nehru had a blueprint. Nehru had the finest intention. Nehru lived for the country. But that doesn't mean Nehru is perfect. Criticize him, why not? And. Can we have the graphic? Mixed economy, let's see. This is mixed economy. Mixed economy is in one line, I'll tell you. This is amplification. Government will own a part of the economy. Private sector will own a part of the economy. Both of them will own parts of economy. That is called mixed economy, full stop. All this is amplification. Because tomorrow if you are asked to write 200 words, you need to know how to amplify. In a mixed economy, to say the government owns a significant part is okay. Strategic part, atomic energy, government. Railway passenger, government and all that. See, you have to build a road. You have to set up a school, a university, a hospital, and also space launching center, nuclear power plant. Build a road, somebody is there to do it. Get into a public-private partnership with him. That will make 100 rupees available to you. Your own 100, why are you investing in a road? You invested in a school or a college or a hospital. That's the philosophy behind this. Capital attracts private capital for innovation. Complement each other. Strategic areas are public sector. Efficiency blends the market efficiency with state regulation. Markets are very efficient, but they are not inclusive. For inclusion, government has to be there. Government priorities, growth and government priorities. Private sector chips in, complementary and all that. Now let's see Mahalanobis. Nehru-Mahalanobis. Commanding heights. Those sectors of the economy which are essential for the development of rest of the economy. Commanding heights, industrial infrastructure, physical infrastructure, road transport also there, electricity boards are there, steel, cement, fertilizer. So critics argued that he neglected the rural. The model did well. Trickle down. In India, trickle down is equal to multiplier. Abroad, trickle down is equal to helping the corporates to come back with more investment through tax cuts. Next, license permit Raj. See, I want the government to regulate the economic development. How do you do it? In what sector should you invest? I will decide. How much you will produce? I will decide. Where will you invest? I will decide. What price you will sell it at? I will decide. So how will I decide? Come to me. I will give you license. I will give you permit. With that help, you can, start investing, producing, distributing and all that. It was very well intentioned, and the next graphic will be IDRA, Industrial Development Regulation Act. Don't yet show. Let's go back there. The earlier one. Yeah. Now, it was a very well intentioned one. The government is sitting here to regulate the development for the good of all. Regional development and inclusive development and small and medium industry, etc. And no monopoly, no concentration of wealth. But you see, bureaucracy having to come, wait outside for a permit, and then stifling your initiative, no private investment encouraged. All this led to market forces feeling stifled. That also led to, erosion of economic dynamism and all that in the country. So the good side of it is that you regulated well. In Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, in all those areas you set up lot of factories. The bad side is that you bureaucratize the whole process and stifle the private initiative and energy. Good, bad, mixed blessing. Let's go to IDRA now, Industrial Development Regulation Act. If you are sitting for State Public Service Commission exams, where the Congress and all these people are there, this is a hot shot. But for UPSC, this is a forgotten matter as of now. Industrial Development Regulation Act 1951. The intention is wonderful. It worked very well, but it had the unintended consequence of stifling the initiative. Next is a lovely, super lovely graphic on protectionism. Yes, please. Protectionism. Please go through this. Take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I'm here. Protectionism is simple. Government is there, economy is there. Don't bring foreign direct investment here, stick to trade only. My guys are producing, let us say, laptops right now. Laptops. I don't want to import laptops. Somebody wants to import laptops in my country, ask him to come to me, I'll give a license. Or if I import laptops, I will import only 100, quantitative barrier. Or you still are desperate about importing laptop, 150% is the tariff. High tariff, quantity, quantitative, restrictions, QRs, or licensing. Why do I do it? I want my people to come, my jobs to come, my incomes to come, my economy to come up so that tomorrow I'll become an exporter also. But what do other guys say? Oh, that's okay, but what about efficiency? What about quality and all that? I'm having research and development. I'm having my own entrepreneurs. So I don't bother too much. At any rate, this is a short-term measure. Very soon I'll open up. Here, I want to nascent. Just about coming up. I use the word infant. You must use the word infant. Nascent is a little remote. Use the word infant. My guys who are making laptops are children. I need to protect them. And in course of time, they'll produce the best of goods. Then I'll open up and beat the world. So infant, I have to protect them. Mahalanobis is infant. Now also, what the government is doing, laptops and all, that's also infant. Infant industry, if you write, in justification, the examiner knows, you've got your choice right. Why did you ban certain Chinese goods? National security. Why is it that you won't import certain goods? Environment. And what about your laptops and all that? Infant. See in the definition you will see, you're understanding protectionism, you will see tariffs, quotas, and then licensing. What is all the European Union, the carbon thing is about? It's also a non-tariff barrier. We don't want your goods. And in order to justify why we don't want your competition through imports, a carbon and all that. This is protectionism. One last covering line. Protectionism, you know how cute it is. This is your, to go to table about protectionism. See how many concepts are here. You get this, the interconnections, dots you connect. Then you are playing with economics. Again, the word here is nascent. I would like that to be replaced with infant. Nascent means just about coming up. Then some people say, if you are protectionist, he is protectionist, everyone is protectionist. Then what's globalization? Where is globalization? What are supply chains? What's efficiency? What is this, that? But then you are not closing your economy in select sectors for a brief period. You are going protectionist. America goes protectionist, semiconductors and EVs and all that, aluminium, steel and all that. China, of course, is protectionist. We are the late entrants into protectionism. For us, globalization was a religion, end. So this was your protectionism. We'll resume tomorrow, from third 5-year plan. We'll finish it out. And if you allow me, I'll go for a Sunday class also. If you allow. You please tell the office if you want or not, we'll go.